You've seen their pristine Instagram feed, their perfect sunsets, their minimalist coffee shots that could be in Wallpaper magazine, their crystalline surf shots in achingly pretentious teal and orange. Meanwhile, your photos look like they were taken with a potato with a blight infection. It's hard not to feel envious. Here's the thing though. You're seeing their highlight reel, the one perfect shot that made it past the delete button. Want to know what their camera roll really looks like? Let me show you mine. Amongst the myriad unpleasant outcomes of the planetary takeover by social media was the gamification of art. Social media turned everything, literally everything, into a competition. Every whinge you have on Facebook about council rubbish bins, every fact-free conspiracy you post on Twitter, every photograph of the underside of your cat's foot, every smashed avocado brekkie that you post on Instagram is in direct competition with everyone else's. We might claim that we don't care how many people read our words or look at our photos, but that's bollocks, isn't it? Of course we care. It validates us. Why else would we continue to do it? Sure as shit isn't for the money, is it? We have transformed and continue to be transformed. A few years ago, I was listening to a podcast that was talking about fecal plumes. If you're not familiar with this delightful phenomenon, then allow me to explain. If you fail to close the lid on the toilet before you flush away your magnum opus, you will get showered in aerosolized droplets of water and shit like a microscopic geyser of germs. I know, right? Every time you flush with that lid up, you're willingly breathing in a punami of your own creation. Not so much Old Faithful as Mount Flushmore. And in much the same way, when we use social media, no matter how minimally, we are getting showered in the aerosolized shite of 8 billion needy ego blasts. Social media is one big, messed up, intergenerational, international, interconnected fecal plume. We might suggest that we're unaffected by everyone else's online output, but we're standing right inside the blast radius, and so of course we're going to end up breathing in the doo-doo, just like everyone else. That is why we carefully curate what we choose to share with the world, and therefore why all of social media is a mass participation experiment in subterfuge. So when we thumb through the dazzlingly brilliant shots on social media posted by photographers we admire, we jealously wish our feeds looked a tenth as good. How do they do it? What camera are they using? Is that a red band lens? Why on earth don't my photos look like they were taken on a Phase 1? Fact check. Those pristine feeds you're drooling over, most of them were taken on cameras just like yours. The difference, and this is the important bit, is that for every stunning sunrise they post, there are 247 blurry, underexposed shit shows lurking in the camera roll that you'll never see. They don't want you to know about the other shots. And so, much like that sex toy you accidentally discovered in your sister-in-law's spare bedroom, they are never mentioned. The images you aspire to create on a regular basis are the tip of the spear of their creative output. If you tried and inevitably failed to match their quality, then it shouldn't be a surprise, because being that good, that consistently, is not a realistically achievable outcome. I make no claims one way or the other as to my prestige as a photographer, but I obviously curate my stuff in exactly the same way. When I go out and take photographs, Depending on how good the conditions are, I could return home with upwards of 500 shots. I shoot pretty much everything bracketed, so my numbers are higher than most folks, but still, there are a lot of photographs to go through. And of those shots, once I've chosen my picks in Lightroom, there might be 5 or 6 I think were good enough for social media, if I still used it with any regularity. But there might also be none that I think are great, and the majority of them will feel meh. I'd say that at least 1/10 of my photographs from any given shoot will be completely shit. Blurred movements, lens cap on, out of focus, blown out, or simply, what the fuck was I thinking? Most of them, the majority, will just be okay, probably not worth the space on the old hard drive, but I'm autistic and I don't just keep the 5-star shots. Over the last 20 years of digital photography, I've been curating my photographs, and of the 222,000 shots in my current Lightroom catalogue, I have given 487 of them 5 stars. That means that just 1 in every 455 shots that I take is a shot that I am officially pleased with. But that just accounts for the ones that I'm pleased with. That doesn't mean they'll be similarly well received by the planet's citizen critics doom scrolling through social media feeds during some company-funded downtime on the shitter. Don't forget to close the lid. If I think about these shots that I've entered into the gamified art contest we call social media, perhaps 10 have received enough attention to float to the surface of the feeds and attract significant amounts of interest. So in reality, if we're basing ratings on how well photographs are received, and fuck knows I don't think we should, believe me, my strike rate is actually more like 1 in 22,000. You know, as far as this uncaring world of ours is concerned. I take shitty photographs. Everyone takes shitty photographs. There isn't a photographer, dead or alive, that doesn't take shitty photographs. We have been trained over the last decade in a global sociological experiment compared by Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, and Kevin Systrom, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram respectively, to treat our creative output as chips on a roulette table rather than as meaningful expressions of our humanity. Which is why we think that everyone else is killing it and that we're the only ones that take shitty photographs. Is there a way to escape this feed-induced FOMO, the like button blues, the compare and despair cycle? Abso-fucking-lutely. You simply need to embrace the context that social media has stripped from literally everything and re-enable the stolen humanity. When someone is nervous to appear on stage and speak or perform in front of an audience, they're often advised to imagine the audience naked. In doing so, in making them appear ridiculous, they become less scary, more human, more relatable, and less frightening. So when you see an incredible photograph or an entire feed of pristine imagery, remember that the photographer is just another human with all the same kind of flaws as you. You don't have to picture them naked. That would probably be a bit weird, but you can rehumanize them. Remember that there's a flawed person behind the camera, not a keeper-taking, 5-star shot-scoring robotic photo legend. Their life is not some endless parade of 5-star photographic excellence. They take shitty photographs too. They stuff up the composition. They overexpose. They choose the wrong aperture. They take substandard shots. If you've become convinced that everyone else is brilliant and that you suck, and you've got that way from viewing the highlight reels of photographers on social media, then you already have an answer to your problems, if you're willing to accept it. The costs of social media extend well beyond its limited benefits, and if you need to escape that feeling that you're the only photographer on earth that takes shitty photographs, perhaps it's time to give the old social media a rest. Opt out of the competition, if only for a short time period, and witness how quickly your self-worth and confidence improves as a result. Test being free of it for a minute. You might find it's far less essential to your creative life than you imagined. There is sanctuary in shitty photographs. There is joy in shitty photographs. There is truth in them, raw and unvarnished. There is memory in the blur, love in the poor lighting, and story in their chaos. There is more honesty in a mistake than in any perfect frame. My name is Andy Hutchinson, and I take shitty photographs.